since Spacies is now a member of the Ministry of Retro Gaming. Sonic Mania Plus review.
Since Spacies.
G'day invaders and welcome to Since Spacies. When it comes to Sonic games, I can pretty much say that I've played my fair share of Hedgehog simulators in my time. I was very lucky enough to have played Sonic the Hedgehog before launch way back in 1991. That was a very special moment for me, and that was a very special game. But Sonic has had a rough time of it in the years since. Sonic 06 with mediocre releases, in-house fighting at Sega, games released with too many glitches and bugs. The Sonic curse seems to be something that Sega have not been able to shake off. But now we have a brand new old game. That's the best way I can explain this. You see, when it comes to the fans of Sonic games, you'll find two major camps. Classic Sonic fans who only like 2D platforming original Sonic offers, and the Dreamcast era Sonic, where Sonic learns how to run towards the background. For the most part, the traditional Sonic 2D releases have always fared better than the 3D releases in my opinion. Australia was a Sega stronghold, so much so that it was almost not a console war here but more of a beat up on Nintendo, until the Super Nintendo gained some ground back in the mid-90s. During this era, we saw loads of Sega fans come through the ranks. Those kids eventually grew up, and one of them loved the old Sonic the Hedgehog games so much he took to programming bootleg cover versions onto mobile phones. In 2009, he started on Sonic CD for mobile and rebuilt the game from the ground up. He nailed the port of this game so well that he immediately caught the attention of the higher ups in Sega. His version was not a lazy emulation, which meant that he could put in new features such as widescreen support. 4 ports later, Sega have finally nabbed him and his team to develop the first original Sonic 2D game since Sonic 4. This guy is Christian Whitehead, known as the Taxman. Last year was a very special year for Sonic fans. If it weren't for a certain other game being released starring a speechless main character, it's very likely that Mania could have grabbed Game of the Year award. Almost a year has passed since Mania's release, and now new content has been pushed out, but more importantly for collectors, a physical copy has been also produced for the first time. So the version that I'm reviewing will be the Nintendo Switch version, although I have the Xbox One version as well on digital. And I'd like to thank the kind folks over at 5 Star Games for my review code, but truth be told, I had bought my physical copy from Japan, as you guys saw in the last video. Oh, and I'm reviewing this as a complete product. Main game with the DLC included as one product. Let's get one thing out of the way. Sonic Mania is literally a love letter to the original 16-bit outings of Sonic the Hedgehog. We see that being illustrated in the left in the cartoon sequence opening with 4 levels. Sonic 1, 2, 3 and Knuckles, and missing the CD level. What Sonic Mania has been programmed to be is a dream version of the original games. Same art style but without the limits of the 90s hardware. You'll see this right away with the nice little touches throughout the game. Bigger rings spilling out when hit, smoother animations on all the sprites, even more vivid colours than the original outings. It is just an awesome achievement to the devs for sticking so close to the original game source but knowing when to add that modern touch to the game without overdoing it or without killing it. Another way of looking at this game is what Sonic could have been like on the Sega Saturn and then the Dreamcast if Sega didn't give up on the 2D gameplay. Imagine if Sonic got a Saturn port, it would have been killer. Sonic Mania Plus was a surprise on release, and it builds on what is already an awesome game. Sonic Mania itself is a strong, solid Sonic outing that brings Sega back into the limelight. In Sonic Mania, you'll find 12 levels made up of 8 original remix zones from old Sonic games gone by, but with 4 totally new original levels. Each level is split into 2 acts, and these levels are highly entertaining, immersive and massive. You'll find yourself replaying these levels many times over just to find all the secrets and hidden Easter eggs. Generally you'll find the first level to be faithful to the original source, but then the second level introduces totally new gameplay mechanics that keep you on your feet. Really cool elements in the chemical plant mode gets a special mention from me in particular here in this regards. You'll find the new special zones to be heavily based on the Sonic CD special zones, which is just so cool. Coming from a Mega CD owner from way back, I personally really enjoyed the fact that this nod to Sonic's lesser known game was being made, but the token levels based on Blue Spheres from Sonic 3 are not a favourite of mine, and I dare say that they are almost unplayable using the Switch controller on wireless with lag causing issues. So if you're looking to play this on Switch, you may want to look at playing this off the dock just to not get frustrated on those levels. You will want to be playing those levels to the max because unlocking gold medals here unlocks special features in the game that you will want. So what do you get with the new Plus DLC? Well, first of all, if you haven't bought Sonic Mania, then the physical release of Sonic Mania Plus is a definite recommendation. You get all the goods from Mania, but along with the added content of the DLC. With the DLC, you get 2 new characters. And not just any characters, but 2 major nostalgia flashbacks on a level that Sega normally don't do. Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Both characters are from the rarely seen out of Japan arcade game Sega Sonic the Hedgehog. Obscure reference indeed, but one I truly love. But 2 additional characters make not a DLC, unless your name is EA. So with this new DLC you get the Encore mode. It features slightly reworked versions of all the levels in the Mania game, but with a ever so short version of Angel Island. A little too short to be fair. But this mode plays entirely differently to Mania. You have 2 characters just like it was introduced in Sonic 2, but now you can instantly swap between the 2 characters on the fly. Neato! In Encore, you unlock or rescue characters to add to your on-the-fly roster by entering the special zones unique to Encore. Gone are the Sonic CD special stages here, and they're replaced by pinball stages that lead to a crane game to rescue the trapped characters. I personally didn't find these stages to be fleshed out enough, and it seems that the pinball areas themselves are just tacked on for the sake of being there, nothing more. I am so pleased to report that the music, in keeping with Sonic tradition, is just oh so good. Wait, I'll go further than that. It's the best soundtrack that I have heard in a Sonic game to date. Straight from the genius that is T. Lopes, we find heavily borrowed themes from Sonic CD, Sonic R, and 3D Sonic. But it's the new tracks that he's added to this game that truly shine. Trust me, I used to love the Sonic CD Power soundtrack so much that I used to play the CD back just to hear the soundtrack. So to hear totally new work versions of these tracks is truly awesome. I am in heaven when playing this game for the soundtrack alone. So we have great graphics in its 16-bit glory and fantastic sound. Luckily, the game plays just as beautifully. They have nailed the physics of the original Sonic games just perfect. They've even given Sonic a new drop dash feature because let's face it, Sonic had no special features. Tails could fly, Knuckles could climb crap, but poor Sonic needed something, so now the drop dash is his thing. As for the features for Mighty and Ray, Mighty can bash the ground in a ground smash move that is just awesome, and he can repel shots while spinning. He also can resist spikes in one jump, so great for new players. But then there's Ray. He's such a cute character who can glide in a way similar to Mario's super capability in Super Mario World. A little too similar maybe, but it seems more buffed in his ability than the Fat Plumber. It's a tricky mechanic to use, but if you master it, you'll be speedrunning levels like a pro. So I've already done a video based on my unboxing of the Japanese version of Sonic Mania Plus. The Western release is very similar, but minus the double CD and different artwork. Speaking of artwork, that cover on the Western release is oh so gorgeous. A definitive edition for any collector. With the physical release, you get this awesome artwork plus a reversible cover that changes your cover to a Mega Drive or Genesis cover depending on where you are located, as well as a truly cool art book featuring awesome concept artwork that you'll be drooling over for years to come. I can gladly announce that Sonic is back. This is such an interesting release too, with its backstory being a real win for the underdogs. With Christian Whitehead leading the charge on future Sonic releases, the future for Sega's flagship character is bright. It's ironic that Sonic Mania was first announced as a kind of side note to what should have been Sega's big announcement, Sonic Forces. But we find ourselves constantly talking about Sonic Mania. a game made by outsiders, not the flashy game with cutscenes and voice acting, etc. It's a reflection of old school Sega fans and their urge to revisit an era in gaming that Sega dropped out on too soon. We get a great taste of what we could have got if Sega had have kept releasing the games that gamers wanted, instead of trying to make the jump to 3D too early. There is a ton of content here, a ton of unlockables. There's even plenty of same screen multiplayer fun to be had here too. 4 players can take each other on in any level of the game. You can try to beat your fastest times in the time attack modes that will certainly test your skill. The bosses are all super clever, with many of these bosses testing your problem solving skills. Look, I had a massive smile on my face while playing this game for the most part. With only very minor issues I have with the game, I am so tempted to give this game that perfect score, but the issues are there. So I have to give this game a 9 out of 10 rating, with this game being only one DLC away from that perfect 10. A person asked me, why would you play a game with old school graphics while there are games out there with massive open world, realistic graphics and more modern gaming? And my answer is this: because this game just gives me a quick fix satisfaction that any gamer worth their salt should be chasing. This, in my books, is a must buy for any Sega, Nintendo, Xbox or PlayStation fans out there. Get on it today. Well, that's been my review on Sonic Mania Plus. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a like, comment, all that usual good stuff. And tell me in the comments below, did you pick up the Western version or did you make the special extra effort to pick up the Japanese copy? And I'd like to make a big special thank you to not only 5-Star Gaming for lending me or sending me the review code, but also to Damien in Nintendo Life. Big thanks to you for putting my unboxing video on your channel, on your website. That was awesome and a major boost to my channel, so I truly appreciate that. In the meantime, my name has been Brian and I've been gaming since Spacies. Thanks guys.
Since Spacies.